Giving all praises to Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai by Hashem HaRachakodash. Send double honors to our apostles and elders. Here, great millstone, peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. So I came back to this little Instagram post that a brother had shared that it was posted by Bishop Nathaniel of the IUIC. And that's because I had just finished watching Elder Pascal Barr's lesson, which was titled, If That Depiction is Meant to Be an Insult to Great Millstone, then thank you for the compliment. IUIC. And let me play this first. This was put up on his Instagram. I may play it twice, but here's how it goes. Never found another like me. I'm the last of my kind. I guess that's okay. So what that shows there is a display of pride. Okay, pride. What Bishop Nathaniel is trying to do is, this is just what I believe. I believe he is trying to stamp himself as a leader of the nation of Israel, and not only a leader, but the king of the nation of Israel. So, every now and then he has to remind you that he's the one, he's the top. Okay. Now, to do that post like that shows a display of pride, right? To use that quote, to listen to that music and be like, yeah, that's talking about me. Use that as an example for me. Well, that shows that's a real display of pride, of which the scriptures tell you that in the end of days, the level of pride is going to be on an all-time high. 2 Timothy 3 says, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy." And believe it or not, just that second verse actually describes IUIC. When you know their history of their dealings, they fit all of those things. Okay. It says, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Yahweh, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. So what's prophesied is that in the end of days, which is what we're in now, you're going to see the worst of the worst in people, Israelites and people in the world. There's a high level of pride that's being taken place, because that's exactly why the Lord is coming back. It's because of pride, which is why the Lord is coming back. As Isaiah chapter 2 says, verse 10, "Enter into the rock and hide thee in the dust for fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of man shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of the Lord of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up shall be brought low." So with these false doctrines that you hear that's coming out of these Israelite groups, a lot of it is coming to the point where you're going to have Israelites that I believe personally are just going to come out and admit that they don't need Yahweh Shai. And I say that because any Israelite group that teaches justification by the law, they are anti-Messiah. That's what it's going to be boiled down to. They're going to be found out that they are anti-Messiahs, that they are anti-Yahweh Shai. Because as the scripture says, which I like to read, if you seek to be justified in the law, whenever Yahweh Shai is mentioned, you will stumble. As 1 Peter 2:7, "Unto you therefore which believe he is precious, but unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made head of the corner. and a stone of stumbling, and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed. All right, so Yahushua to one is a rock of salvation, to another he is a rock of offense and a stone of stumbling. And any Israelite group that seeks justification by the works of the law is going to be found out to be anti-messiahs. Like right now, they're just playing around with words, but I believe through the level of pride, I believe that they're just going to go ahead and come out and admit it and say, yes, we basically don't need Yahushua. In some way, shape, or form, they're going to say those words. You know, they might just say, well, y'all need the Lord, but we got our works. In some way, it's not going to be put it past me, because the level of pride is already seeping high, like this guy here. Okay, that's pride. Let's play that again.
You'll never find another like me. I'm the last of my kind. I'm the last of my kind.
Okay, that's pride, man. Right? That is pride. Let me read this. This is Romans 9, verse 30. It says, what shall we say then? That the Gentiles which follow not after righteousness have attained to righteousness, even the righteousness which is of faith. They don't like those words. I always like to say they don't like those words. Why do they don't like those words? Because Yahushua himself said in Matthew 23:23, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These are ye have done, and not to leave the other undone. So they lack those. And IUIC is not about just judgment. IUIC is not about mercy. They teach a hell doctrine. Anybody that teaches a hell doctrine is not merciful. They don't believe in mercy. That hell doctrine is a myth. It was created by the Roman Catholic Church for the sake of fear, and any Israelite that's teaching that, they're using it for the sake of fear as well. Okay, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, the powers created the heavens and the earth. So since where did this hell come from? It doesn't exist. But anybody who teaches that is because they lack mercy. He himself, he got mad, and he laughed at the idea that Israelites will come, the 2/3 will come back as babies. He laughs at that, because in his mind they don't deserve mercy. In his mind, the 2/3 ultimately will not receive mercy, right? Because they don't have mercy. And then it says faith, which they don't believe in it. That's why they harp so much on what? The law. At one point, they called Great Millstone faith-based Israelites as a way to make the Great Millstone look bad, which that's just another compliment. So they keep trying, in their attempt to try to insult Great Millstone, they just complimenting the apostles and elders, right? That's their attempt. Just like this video that Elder Apostle Gabar did. This is an attempt. This is an attempt to make the apostles look bad, you know, and only thing he can resort to is to say that you're poor. Like, just be real. Does somebody sound like, if the only argument that one person has to say is to say, well, you're poor, does that really sound like they have any real ground to stand on? If anything, it sounds like they're losing. That, if anything, I believe the scriptures basically tell you that a tactic of slander is a tactic of fools. Proverbs 10:18, he that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. So because the apostles and elders are exposing the holes in your doctrine, and because you change your doctrine like the wind, you got like what, 4 or 5 different breakdowns of Revelation, the 13th chapter, starting at the 15th verse on down, regarding the image of the beast and as well as the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast went from being an embargo, went to being sin, Now you're linking it to Nero and his engraved coin. You just keep changing it. Because at one point they said the mark of the beast has nothing to do with you or me, but it has to do with embargoes and taxing nations, small nations and great nations. Now they're saying that, oh, it's sin. And then now it has to do with Nero and enforcing people to say Caesar is king by having a piece of paper or coin with what? So you're getting exposed. So your only tactic is to just slander. That's slander or lie, right? Or to call somebody poor, which that's not an insult, but that's all they have. And then all the while you're trying to stamp yourself as as a leader, and not just any leader, but the king. Let me continue this. It's Romans 9 and 30. What shall we say then, that the Gentiles which follow not after righteousness have attained the righteousness, even the righteousness which is of faith? Exactly. But Israel, which followed after the law of righteousness, have not attained the law of righteousness. Wherefore, because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law. For they stumbled at that stumbling stone. As it is written, behold, I lay in Zion a stumbling stone and a rock of offense, and whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. So that's why any Israelite who seeks justification by works are going to be considered anti-messiahs. They may not have the courage to say it now, but I believe the Spirit is just going to make them say it because that's their deepest desire, and because pride is on the all-time high. And that's truly just what you think. Just go ahead and admit it. Say it with your chest. You believe you can be saved by your works and that you don't need Yahushua. Go ahead and say it. You know? Another point that Elder Apostle Gabar mentioned in the lesson is that he believes that Bishop Nathaniel really just envies the position of Apostle Tahar, because you can see that the Lord is dealing with an Apostle Tahar. And I believe that because, listening to his history and his track record, it's clear to see that he desires to be in a prestigious position in the church, and he wants the praise and accolades. But his issue is that he's not going about it the right way. He's trying to force himself in this position, right? And he believes that he's smarter than the Lord. So that's why the doctrine of IUIC isn't the scriptures, but is the doctrine of Bishop Nathaniel. And he wants to be able to call that group his work, his magnus opus. And he wants all the benefits of being basically a Christian pastor and be respected and liked by all, that he's forcing it on his men over there. He basically forces them to, like, worship him. That's why they say all the stupid, dumb things that they say. But when it comes to the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you better not utter those words. You better not utter those words in his presence, because, over there, he's the king. Right? And you had the account of the two sisters that walked up to the group, and they just politely asked, with all this knowledge you have, why do you still refuse to call him in his name? What does his men do? They advocately fight. They try to use the scriptures to not use a name. They say, I don't have to call his name. I don't have to call his name to be saved, when the scripture clearly says, whosoever call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. But you see, they better make sure that Bishop Nathaniel they better get his name right. And you better not usher Yahweh Shem Yahushua in the bishop's presence unless you're making a mockery. You see, this is him trying to force himself as well, Yahushua said, they trying to be keepers of the vineyard. When Yahushua said this, he's talking about these same individuals that are back here in the flesh today. And they're basically saying this is ours now. Matthew 21. And that's why they fit all of these prophecies that Yahushua was cursing out, because they're in the same stead. And it's not just them, but it's any Israelite group that's walking in the same stead, like that believes justification by law, that believes that Paul is not a man of the Lord. It's the same thing. They all have this habit of doing what? Doing their own thing, establishing their own righteousness, and not submitted themselves to the righteousness of Yahweh. Like the scripture says, a child left to himself will be willful. You know, they hasten to be from under some type of authority, and they're fighting and they resist because they want to be from up under somebody so that they can establish their own self. And then next thing you know, now it's their time to establish themselves as a leader, as a chief priest, as a king, as a bishop, and then up. We're gonna do away with this, what the scripture says here, and then we're gonna insert my will, basically the will of man. So, you know, Paul isn't a man of. We don't have to listen to Paul. We do what we want. So, not only are we gonna have the long hair, but we're gonna have do rags on and a fitted cap when we teach, right? You know, bringing in the customs of the world, bring that in. And, you know, let's merge the truth with the world. You know, these are the things that these self-willed, presumptuous, false prophets will do. They're not going to submit themselves to the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua is that, going back to the old school, Elder Pastor Tahar was the head over Bishop Nathaniel. And according, you know, to the testimonies, you know, he basically resisted all the way up until he can get free, so that now he could do his own thing. But his mistake was, he didn't think that people would still be able to recount the testimony, and how really, when it comes to dealing with, let's say, the apostles, right, with the old school. Now, this is the testimony of all the men that you hear that may have been around, that spoke on what happened at the old school and all that. Even when, because, you know, vocab will search men out and ask. And if it's one thing that was always with regarding Apostle Tahar, was his the same testimony was consistent. He was on fire. He didn't play no games. So the same Apostle Tahar you see now is the same Apostle Tahar back then. You know, but guess what? When Bishop Nathaniel's name is mentioned at the old school, people don't have much good things to say. You see? And when Bishop Nathaniel loosed himself, okay, and decided to start his own group, when he's asked, tell us your origin story or whatever, he doesn't give you all the details. He just says, oh, the old school's a lot of wickedness going on, so I had to break off and do my own thing. But he forgets that there's men that still actually know what the heck happened, and they're what you're saying or what they're saying doesn't add up. You see, this is him just trying to bury his skeletons in the closet without applying the scriptures and doing what's necessary so that you can receive mercy. And the scriptures clearly tell you, you just be honest. You just be honest. I believe it's Proverbs 28:13. He that covereth his sins shall not prosper, but whoso confesses and forsaketh them shall have mercy. So all you have to do is be honest. And the scriptures tell you that, you know, if a man reproach not a man who forsaketh from sin, for we're all guilty. So all you have to do is be honest and say, well, look, you know, we was at the old school. It kind of broke up. You know, I had a hand in that. You know, there was a doctrine like dealing with Cornelius that I didn't believe or see at the time. And, you know, I was responsible for, you know, like Apostle Tahar getting kicked out. And, you know, but later down the line, the Spirit revealed to me the truth. So now I teach the truth. So, you know, I learned from that. So then, you know, now I'm teaching the truth. See, that shows integrity. And at that moment, you've gained back you gained respect. But you're going to try to bury it like that didn't happen. And you're upset because the apostles, they know, and they letting people know the true, you know, what really happened. And Bishop Nathaniel doesn't like that, because now he can't spin the narrative to his congregation over there that he was always right. The Lord established him up, He's the leader. Ain't nobody over him. Okay, he's number one. When in actuality, listen. There are certain men that just need to be under the yoke of another man, you know. But because of pride and, like you would say, envy, they would resist to get from up under the yoke so that they can be free to do their own thing. But then they just lead themselves to self-sabotage. It's just like a woman resisting the will of the Lord and say, no, I can be the leader. And then she leads herself to self-sabotage. This is 2 Corinthians 10, verse 17. But he that glorieth, let him glory in the Lord. For not he that commendeth himself is approved, but whom the Lord commendeth. And I believe that word commendeth means to establish. Greek word, synestemi. It says to place together, to set in the same place. Yeah, so basically to establish. Whom the Lord established. Okay. It says another translation. It says, New King James, for not he who commends himself is approved, but whom the Lord commended. So what's up with this? What's up with this right here? Like, what is this? You'll never find another like me. You know, I'm the last of my kind. And then you put yourself up. The scripture says you are to let another man praise thee. Okay, this is pride. You know what I'm saying? But NLT, when people commend themselves, it doesn't count for much. The important thing is for the Lord to commend them. So you got to let the Lord commend you. Let the Lord commend you. Let the Lord establish you. Okay. So if I go back to Matthew 21, he says, 33, here another parable. There was a certain householder which planted the vineyard and hedged it round about and digged a wine press in it and built a tower and let it out to the husbandman and went into a far country. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen that they might receive the fruits of it. The husbandman took his servants and beat one and killed another and stoned another. Again, he sent other servants, more than the first, they did unto him likewise. Last of all, he sent unto them his son, saying, they will reverence my son. But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir, come, let us kill him, and let us cease on his inheritance. And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. When the Lord, therefore, of the vineyard cometh, what will he do unto those husbandmen? They said unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men and let out his vineyard to other husbandmen, which shall render him fruits in their seasons. Yahushua said unto them, did ye ever read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, the same is become the head of the corner? This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore I say unto you, the kingdom of Yahweh shall be taken from you and given to a nation bringing forth the fruits thereof. And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. And when the chief priests and the Pharisees had heard this parable, they perceived that he spake of them. But when they sought to lay hands on him, they feared the multitude because they took him for a prophet. So you see, all we're going back to that same thing. They have a problem with Yahushua. They seek to be keepers of the vineyard, meaning they want to take the Lord's inheritance for themselves. And then they add and take away from the scriptures so that they can say, look, no, this is really how it's going to be. Right? This is what marriage is really how it is according to the Bishop Nathaniel. This is what's really important. Okay, you guys got to all be looking the same, wear the same clothes, and we're gonna look down and talk down on anybody that's not a part of us. In fact, we're gonna call them bumps, and even further, we're gonna slander them. We're gonna call them grapists and whatnot, and we're gonna make a pact with the devil. Okay, and get a 501c3, sit down with the devil, give the devil information about our organization, and at the same time slander our neighbor. These are the things that they're doing, and they believe that it's okay because they're following their leader. And their leader, when you have spiritual understanding and you hear the testimony from the apostles and elders, he just deep down wants to be in a leadership position and get respect and praised, but he doesn't want to do it the Lord's way. He wants to do it his way. Okay. And that's the problem that we face. Jake wants, their way of thinking and what they have always established to be the way, and they want to be respected in the same, but the Lord did not plant you to that position. He really planted you to be under the Apostle Har, and you'd have been good. Look at that guy over there in Sakari. Had he just followed under the order, he'd be good too. But it's that resistance, that childlike presumptuous spirit say, no, I don't want to be under no order. I want to do my own thing. And then they change things. Let me see. Scripture talk about not seeking the Lord preeminence. Let me see. Yeah, Proverbs 25. Yahushua also said it, but it says, verse 6, put not forth thyself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the place of great men. For better is it that it be said unto thee, come up hither, than that thou shouldest be put lower in the presence of the prince whom thine eyes have seen. Meaning, you let the Lord be the one to commend you and establish you. You know what I'm saying? And otherwise, it's going to be embarrassing for you to be told, look, you got to make room for this person, right? As Yahushua himself said in Luke 14:7, but he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, when he marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them, when thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest the more honorable man than thou be bidden of him. And he that bade thee and come and say unto thee, give this man place, and thou wilt begin with shame to take the lowest room. But when thou art bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room, that when he that bade thee cometh, he may say unto thee, friend, go up higher. Then thou shalt have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with thee. For whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. Right. And this is self-exaltation right here. That's what this is. This is self-exaltation. Going off, even like when I heard the testimony of like the bishops, he had the attitude of, just he doesn't like it if you speak of him and it's not in a well sense. Like he wants to be spoken well of. So he really forces that over there. And what does Yahushua say about that? He said the false prophets were spoken well of. And despite all this information, you would think it would register that the men of IUIC or Bishop Nathaniel is going off. They don't care. A lot of them don't care because they're getting benefits from it. And they know that, well, as long as I keep praising this man, I'm good to be in my position. I'm good to make this money, get this wife. They know, like that guy over there, Deacon Asaph. Okay, he's that guy's a demon, but he got sense enough. He knows when his people going off. He just don't want you to say nothing about it. That's his whole thing. And what did we say earlier? The tactic of a fool is to slander. So whenever he knows that IUIC looks bad, according to the doctrine, because that's what this is ever all about, he just resorts to slander in the hopes that people won't listen, because people are listening, people are seeing the hypocrisy. He knows it looks bad, but he's so loyal to Bishop Nathaniel that he doesn't care about what the truth is. He just wants things to continue as they are over there. So he will slander as much as he wants to, because he doesn't want to, mess with his friendship or his relationship with Bishop Nathaniel, even if it's for the truth. You understand? So he'll slander his neighbor and speak well of him. But what does Luke 6:26 says? Woe unto you that when all men speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. And Bishop Nathaniel, he wants to be spoken well of. So his whole thing, I think, when he was telling the apostles over the phone when they had last spoke years ago, was like, okay, just stop talking about me, right? And he doesn't so he only wants things to be spoken well of. That's like an insecurity type thing, and that's why he'll do little Instagram stuff like that. Like, who would do something like that? That's pride, okay? But that's why he came on that horse. He got the highest seat in the room when they teach. That this is what he wants. He wants to be praised and commended and be chosen to be in a seat. And truthfully, he really wants to be in the seat of Yahushua or King David. Okay. So I believe that time is going to just have them admit through their mouths that they're going to say, look, we deliver ourselves. We righteous by our works. We don't need Yahushua. I believe the spirit of these, not just them, but any group that teaches righteousness by the law, I believe they're going to come out and say it, because as 2 Timothy 3 said, pride is going to be on all-time high. It says, what, lovers of their own selves. And pride, this is what we're seeing. And it's all because the root of it is pride, and the desire is to be in the seat of Yahushua or King David, and the desire is to be a chief top leader, a chief top teacher. Hey, when you read in the Maccabees about Jason, the guy who's coveted to be high priest, he wanted to be in a high position, so he made a pact with the devil. As long as he can get his position to praise, man. Pride is a real thing. Pride is a demon. Okay. When everybody really should just be happy with the lot they were given, because the scripture says that if we're all a part of the body, we all have a job to do, a part of the body. And don't be coveted after the fact that, well, I'm just a foot, I'm not the ankle. Oh, I'm not the leg, I'm not the thigh. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the waist. Oh, I'm not the arm. No, the scriptures teach you to be okay with your position. All right, as 2 Timothy 12, just to go to the point, verse 14, it says, for the body is not one member, but many. If the foot shall say, because I am not the hand, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? And if the ear shall say, because I am not the eye, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where with the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where with the smelling? But now Yahweh have set the members, every one of them, in the body as it pleases him. And if they were all one member, where were the body? But now are they many members, but one body. And the eye cannot say unto the hand, I have no need of thee, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary. And those members of the body which we think to be less honorable, upon these we bestow more abundant honor, and our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness, for our comely parts have no need. But Yahweh have tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to that part which lacketh. So we're all part of the body. And, I believe, Bishop Nathaniel, he's thinking this is if he's a part of the elect. It's if even I'm a part of the elect. We don't know. But I know, I agree with what Apostle Bar says, and I believe he's sitting there like, why did the Lord choose him? Apostle Har, and why not me? Right. And that's what most brothers probably be thinking. They probably look at their camp head as that position. Or if a brother have a gift, they think, why not me? You know what I'm saying? Which you just have to be happy with what you were given. And if anything, learn from that brother. I see the Lord really got the spirit on that brother to go deep into the Hebrew or that priest. Let me learn from that brother. Maybe some of that rub off on me. You know what I'm saying? Esteeming one another more than ourselves. and that's what keeps shift of praise, and that's what keeps the spirit flowing, and really just show us as lights in the world, as Israelites in the world. All right. When you read the Book of Kings, you see that our people, if they really wanted that king position, they slew one another. They slew their family. They slew because they wanted now. Now I'm the king. You know what I'm saying? But you're supposed to let the Lord be the one to exalt you or put you there. And Bishop Nathaniel isn't doing that. He's forcing himself in this position that he believes he deserves, and the Lord did not put him there. Okay, he's not even teaching the true word of the Lord. Partly why we believe he doesn't push the name Yahweh Shai is because he doesn't want Yahweh Shai to get that praise, Yahweh Shai to get that credit. That's why he said he hates hearing those names. He rather, but they can sit up there and say a million nice things that they like about him, but you better not say Yahweh Shai in his presence, though. That means you have a problem with Yahweh Shai, and it will be dealt with. It will be dealt with. So, the bottom line is IUIC is not established by Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. They do not have 100% truth. Those, you should not listen to them. Okay? And pretty soon the Lord's going to bring that group down, as it says. If the Lord have not built the house, they labor in vain that built it. Okay? So that's shalom.